They ask me, why do you take failure so calmly, broski? Because failure and defeat aren't twins. People keep introducing them like they're family, but they're strangers. Failure is an event. Defeat is a decision. One happens to you. The other happens inside you. That's the difference. See, everybody's terrified of failing, but nobody's terrified of wasting potential. Funny, isn't it? They'll risk their dreams just to protect their pride. They'll stay in the same job, the same mindset, the same neighborhood, the same excuses, because at least they can't fail if they never try. But let me ask you something. What's the bigger failure? Falling while chasing your purpose, or standing still until your purpose forgets your name? I already know my answer. See, when a baby learns to walk, nobody laughs because it fell 20 times. The family celebrates because every fall is proof that it's trying. Yet somehow adults expect themselves to master life without stumbling once. That's pride talking. Growth is never travel without failure riding in the passenger seat. Show me somebody who's never failed, and I'll show you somebody who's never aimed high enough. Mountains don't apologize for being steep. Why should success apologize for being difficult? See, failure has become one of my greatest teachers because unlike compliments, it tells me the truth. Compliments make you comfortable. Failure makes you curious. It forces you to ask better questions. What did I miss? Where was I unprepared? Which habit needs to change? Which attitude held me back? Failure isn't laughing at you. It's interviewing you. The question is whether you'll answer honestly. Most people don't. They blame the economy, blame their parents, blame the government, blame their friends, blame bad luck. They'll blame everybody except the person in the mirror, but mirrors don't create problems, they reveal them. That's why I respect the mirror more than applause. The mirror corrects me, applause can deceive me. See, every blacksmith knows something about steel. If the blade bends under pressure, he doesn't throw it away. He puts it back into the fire. Why? Because weakness isn't always the end. Sometimes it's simply a sign that more refining is needed. That's how God works with us. We think one setback disqualifies us, while heaven sees another opportunity to strengthen our character. Peter failed. Moses failed. David failed. Jonah failed, yet God didn't throw them away, He transformed them. The world labels people by their worst mistake. God calls people by their greatest purpose. That's grace. See, I stopped asking, why did I fail? Now I ask, what is this failure trying to teach me that success never could? Success rewards you, failure rebuilds you, success celebrates your strength. Failure exposes your cracks before they become collapses. Imagine building a bridge with hidden weaknesses. Better to discover the flaw during construction than when thousands of people are depending on it. That's why I don't curse every setback. Some disappointments are inspections from heaven. Better to fix your character now than watch your success fall apart later. See, people think winning builds confidence. Sometimes losing builds stronger confidence, because now you've survived your greatest fear. Once you've fallen and realized you can still stand, failure loses its salve to integrity. You fear feeds on the unknown, experience starves it. That's why every scar reminds me that I healed. Every closed door reminds me another one eventually opened. Every rejection reminds me that redirection often wears disappointing clothes before it reveals its true purpose. See, God has never promised a life without battles. He promised His presence in them. That's enough for me. Because if He's walking beside me, then even my failures can't wander outside His plan. They may delay me, but they don't define me. They may humble me, but they don't destroy me. They may hurt me, but they also prepare me. So don't feel sorry when you see me fall. Watch carefully, I'm probably learning something I couldn't have learned standing up. And when I rise again, I won't just be carrying another dream. I'll be carrying stronger faith, deeper wisdom, tougher character, and a testimony that comfort could never have written. Because at the end of the day, 'cause failure
long as God keeps giving me another sunrise, I'll keep giving my purpose another chance. That's a game failure can never win.
You still waiting for motivation, broski? Who convinced you that motivation was your employee? Motivation doesn't clock in every morning. It doesn't sign contracts. It doesn't care about your dreams as much as you do. Some days it'll show up smiling, making you feel like you can conquer the world. Other days it'll disappear without leaving a note. And if your future depends on whether motivation decides to visit, then your future has already been outsourced to your feelings. Nah, cause I don't build my life on visitors, I build it on residents. Discipline lives here, commitment pays rent here. Consistency has its own room. Motivation is just a guest that drops by every now and then. See, people have this movie version of success in their heads. They think champions wake up every morning with fire in their eyes, inspirational music playing in the background, ready to dominate the day. They don't see the mornings when champions are tired. They don't see the workouts that happen with sore muscles. They don't see the business meetings after sleepless nights. They don't see the prayers whispered when faith feels quieter than fear. That's the real championship. Anybody can move when they feel like it. The rare person moves because they said they would. That's integrity. That's power. Your word should be so valuable that even your emotions can't negotiate against it. See, I stopped asking myself, do I feel like doing it? That's the wrong question. Feelings are like the wind, they change direction every few hours. Imagine a pilot saying, I'll only fly today if I feel inspired. Nobody's bored in that plane. Imagine a surgeon saying, I'll perform the operation when I'm in the mood. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yet people expect their dreams to survive a schedule that's controlled by emotions that's backwards. Purpose should lead your feelings, not the other way around. Feelings make terrible leaders because they only vote for comfort. Purpose votes for growth, and growth rarely feels comfortable. That's why discipline is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're telling your mind, my word has value. Every time you break that promise, you're teaching yourself that your own commitments are optional. Then people wonder why they struggle with confidence. Confidence isn't built by positive quotes. Confidence is built by collecting evidence that you can trust yourself. Every completed blog is evidence. Every finished book is evidence. Every prayer you kept, every assignment you completed, every temptation you resisted, that's evidence. Brick after brick, you're constructing belief in your own character. That's a foundation motivation can never build. See, motivation is loud at the starting line. Discipline is quiet at the finish line. Everybody celebrates the excitement of beginning. Few people respect the endurance of continuing. That's why races aren't won in the first 100 meters. They're won when everybody else starts negotiating with fatigue. Fatigue has a funny way of introducing itself. It whispers you've done enough. Take the day off. Nobody will notice. But discipline whispers back, neither will success. Because success is poor eyesight for excuses, but perfect vision for consistency. It notices every unseen repetition, every lonely hour, every sacrifice made when nobody was clapping. God notices too. That's what gives me peace. I don't need an audience to stay faithful. I don't need likes to stay consistent. The crowd might miss today's effort, but heaven keeps better records than social media ever could see. Noah built an ark before he saw rain. Joseph stayed faithful before he saw the palace. David learned courage before he wore the crown. None of them waited to feel motivated. They obeyed. That's the pattern. Obedience first, results later. The world says, I'll move when I see proof. Faith says I'll move because I trust the one who already sees the destination. That's a different league altogether. So don't ask me where my motivation comes from. You're asking the wrong person. Ask my discipline why it never takes holidays. Ask my purpose why it wakes me before my alarm. Ask my vision why it refuses to let comfort become permanent. Because by the time motivation finally decides to show up, I've already finished the work. Motivation to celebrate if it wants to. Discipline already collected the trophy. And that's the difference. Cause average people wait until they feel ready before they move. Extraordinary people move until they become ready. One waits for the fire, the other becomes it. So when people look at your life one day and call you naturally driven, smile and let them believe it. You and God will know the truth, that the greatest victories were never powered by motivation. They were built by discipline that refused to quit when nobody was watching.
They asked me, "What's your biggest competitor?" Broski. Why would I point at another man when the toughest opponent has been following me since the day I was born? I don't wake up trying to beat somebody else's scoreboard. I wake up trying to defeat the version of me that loves excuses, delays decisions, fears rejection, and settles for almost. That's the rival. I respect because he's patient. He doesn't attack with noise. He attacks with comfort. He doesn't tell me to quit. He tells me to slow down. He doesn't say give up. He says you've done enough. That's how average is born. Not through one big decision, but through 1,000 tiny compromises that nobody notices until years later. See, everybody's obsessed with competition. They're watching another man's business, another man's relationship, another man's followers, another man's bank account. Meanwhile, the only race that actually matters is the one between who you are today and who God created you to become. That's a race nobody else can run for you. You can't outsource discipline. You can't hire somebody to build your character. You can't pay another person to carry your purpose. Some battles don't accept substitutes. They're reserved in your name. That's why I stopped looking sideways. Looking sideways slows your feet. Looking forward strengthens your stride. Every second I spend measuring another man's progress is another second I'm stealing from my own. Imagine a runner halfway through a race who keeps turning around to count how many people are behind him. Eventually he'll trip over the very finish line he was supposed to cross. That's what comparison does. It distracts winners. See, God never asked Noah to become Moses. He never asked David to become Solomon. He never asked Peter to become Paul. Every assignment came with its own lane. So why am I trying to wear another man's shoes when mine were custom made for the road I'm called to walk? It doesn't make sense. My blessing has my name on it. My purpose recognizes my voice. My opportunity isn't confused about my address. If it's truly mine, I don't have to steal it. I just have to prepare for it. That's why I compete with yesterday. Yesterday knew less than I know today. Yesterday was weaker than I should be today. Yesterday made mistakes that today can learn from. That's a fair competition because every victory moves me forward instead of filling me with pride. People ask me how I stay hungry after making progress. Simple. I don't compare my chapter 20 to somebody else's chapter 1. I compare today's discipline to yesterday's discipline. Did I read more? Did I serve better? Did I become kinder? Did I pray deeper? Did I learn another skill? Because success isn't just about increasing your income. It's about increasing your capacity. A bigger wallet without a bigger character is like pouring clean water into a dirty
everything becomes contaminated. That's why God often develops the person before He delivers the platform. We keep praying for elevation while heaven keeps working on our foundation. We ask for bigger doors while God asks for stronger shoulders. Because every new level carries new weight. And if your character can't carry it, your success will crush you instead of crown you. See, I don't envy another man's harvest because I wasn't there for his planting season. I don't know what tears watered those fields. I don't know what sacrifices fertilized that soil. Everybody wants fruit, but nobody asks about the roots. Roots don't receive applause, they're buried, hidden, forgotten. Yet without them, the tree falls the first time the wind gets serious. That's why I spend more time strengthening my roots than decorating my branches. Anybody can look successful for a season. I want to remain fruitful for a lifetime. See, the mirror has become my favorite coach because it never lies. It doesn't care about my followers. It doesn't care about compliments. It simply asks one question every morning. Are you becoming the man you prayed to be? That's the question that matters. Not how many people know my name, but whether my name still carries integrity. Not whether the world applauds me, but whether heaven recognizes obedience. Because it's possible to impress people while disappointing God. And I'd rather lose the applause of a crowd than lose the approval of the one who gave me the assignment. So don't ask me who I'm trying to beat. The answer hasn't changed. I'm chasing a man I caught a glimpse of in prayer, the man who fears God, keeps his word, serves others, masters himself, and refuses to waste the gifts placed in his hands. Until the man in the mirror looks exactly like that vision. The race isn't over. And trust me, cuz, that's one opponent worth defeating every single day.
People keep asking me, what's your plan B? Broski, why are you preparing an escape route before you've even entered the battle? See, I'm not against wisdom, I'm against doubt disguised as preparation. There's a difference. Some people spend more time designing backup plans than building the first one. They ensure their excuses before they ensure their effort. Then they wonder why they never fully commit. You can't drive with one foot on the accelerator and the other on the brake, then blame the car for not moving. Commitment doesn't work like that. If every time life gets difficult, your mind starts searching for the nearest exit, you'll never discover what's waiting on the other side of perseverance. See, I don't burn bridges because I'm emotional. I burn bridges because I know I'll be tempted to walk back across them when things get uncomfortable. Comfort has a funny way of calling your old life whenever your new life starts demanding more from you. It reminds you how easy average used to be. It tells you the dream is too expensive. It whispers that maybe you're not built for greatness after all. But I already know that voice. That's not wisdom talking. That's fear wearing a suit. Fear is educated. It sounds logical. It presents evidence. It gives statistics. It shows you every person who failed while conveniently hiding the one who refused to quit. See, faith speaks differently. Faith doesn't ignore reality. It simply refuses to let reality become the final authority. That's why Noah kept building while people kept laughing. That's why Abraham kept walking before he knew the destination.
That's why David picked up 5 stones when everybody else had already surrendered to one giant. They weren't reckless, they were committed. There's a difference. People confuse certainty with commitment. You don't need to know every step before taking the first one. Imagine a builder refusing to lay the foundation because he can't already see the finished rooftop. That building would never exist. Progress is always rewarded movement, not hesitation. That's why I don't wait until I'm fearless. Courage was never the absence of fear. Courage is telling fear, you can come with me if you want, but you're sitting in the back seat. You're not touching the steering wheel. See, every dream comes with a security guard called uncertainty. If uncertainty scares you away, maybe you didn't want the dream badly enough. Everybody loves the idea of becoming extraordinary until they realize extraordinary requires doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. Reading when you're tired, training when nobody's watching, saving money when everybody's spending it, staying faithful when compromise looks easier. Those are the moments that decide destinies, not the speeches, not the celebrations. The quiet decisions nobody posts online, that's where champions are made. See, I've learned something about God. He rarely gives you the whole map. He gives you enough light for the next step. If he showed you the entire journey on day one, you might worship the destination more than the one leading you there. So he teaches you to trust him daily, not occasionally, one obedient step at a time, one faithful decision at a time, one disciplined morning at a time. That's how mountains are climbed. That's how businesses are built. That's how families are strengthened. That's how legacies are written, one page at a time. So don't ask me what my plan B is. My energy is too busy perfecting plan A. If I fail, I'll learn. If I fall, I'll stand. If one door closes, I'll build another. But I won't quit just because the road became difficult. Because somewhere between the first step and the finish line, God isn't just building the dream, he's building the dreamer. And when the dream finally arrives, the person receiving it will have become strong enough to carry it. That's the real victory. Because not just reaching the destination, but becoming the kind of person worthy of it.
They asked me, when are you going to celebrate? Broski, celebrate what? The fact that I started, that's expected. The fact that I had one good week, that's temporary. The fact that people are finally noticing they weren't there when nobody was. See, I've learned something about applause. It is terrible memory. The same crowd cheering your name today can forget it tomorrow. That's why I don't build my confidence on clapping hands. Hands that clap can also point fingers. Hands that lift trophies can also throw stones. If you live for people's approval, you'll eventually die by their opinions. Nah, 'cause my confidence has a different address. It comes from knowing I'm becoming the man God called me to be, even when nobody's watching. That's a celebration the world can't give, and it can't take away either. See, everybody loves the finish line because that's where the cameras are. Nobody loves the training ground because that's where the truth is. The training ground doesn't care about your followers. It doesn't care about your excuses. It simply asks one question every single day: did you show up? That's why I respect consistency more than talent. Talent gets attention, consistency earns trust. A flashy player can win you one match. A disciplined player wins championships. The world has enough stars. What it needs is people who keep their word. See, I don't celebrate too early because construction isn't finished after the first
brick. Imagine a pilot celebrating after the plane leaves the runway, but before it lands safely. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yet people throw parties over potential while abandoning the process that actually produces results. Success isn't crossing the starting line. Success is finishing the assignment. That's why I stay hungry. Hunger reminds me there's still another level to reach, another lesson to learn, another person to help, another weakness to conquer. The day you become satisfied with who you are is the day growth quietly packs its bags and leaves your house. I never want growth to feel unwelcome around me. See, fruit trees don't eat their own fruit. Rivers don't drink their own water. The sun doesn't shine for itself. Everything created by God produces something that benefits someone else. So why should my success stop with me? If my knowledge only makes me smarter, it's incomplete. If my wealth only makes me richer, it's incomplete. If my influence only makes me more famous, it's incomplete. Real success overflows. It reaches people who may never even know your name. That's legacy. That's impact. That's the kind of scoreboard heaven pays attention to. People ask me what drives me every day. It's not proving people wrong. That's too small. It's proving God right for trusting me with the gifts He placed inside me. Imagine standing before the Creator after spending your whole life burying the talents He gave you because you were afraid of criticism. Nah, I can't live like that. I'd rather fail attempting something meaningful than succeed at protecting my comfort. Failure teaches, comfort sedates. One builds character, the other slowly erases it. See, every blessing comes with responsibility attached to it. Bigger opportunities require bigger discipline. Bigger platforms require deeper humility. Bigger influence requires stronger character. Otherwise, the very thing you prayed for becomes the thing that destroys you. That's why God often delays the blessing until your character catches up with your prayer. We call it waiting. Heaven calls it preparation. And preparation has never been punishment. It's protection. See, diamonds are kept under pressure before they're displayed. Arrows are pulled backward before they move forward. Buildings go deeper before they go higher. God has a pattern. Before elevation comes preparation. Before promotion comes testing. Before influence comes integrity. So when life feels like it's pulling me backward, I don't panic anymore. I ask myself, how far is God about to launch me? Because I've realized that every season has a purpose. Even the uncomfortable ones. Especially the uncomfortable ones. So no, cuz don't expect me to celebrate too early. I'll smile, I'll be grateful, I'll thank God for every small victory. But I'll remember that the trophy isn't the mission. The mission is faithfulness. The mission is finishing well. The mission is hearing the only applause that truly matters at the end of this life. Not from a crowd that changes its mind every week, but from the one who never misses a single unseen sacrifice. Because when God says, "Well done," every other standing ovation becomes background noise.
They asked me, "Why are you so obsessed with reading, broski?" Obsessed? You make it sound like I'm wasting time. Let me ask you something. If your phone battery dropped to 1%, would you panic? Of course you would. So why don't you panic when your mind has been running on the same thoughts for the last 5 years? See, everybody wants a new life with an old mindset. That's like trying to install the latest software on broken hardware. It doesn't matter how expensive the device looks on the outside if the system inside can't process what's required. That's why I read. Not because books make me look intelligent. Books make me think differently. And the life you live is nothing more than a reflection of the thoughts you repeat. Change your thinking, and eventually your decisions start changing. Change your decisions, and your direction changes. Change your direction, and one day people call it destiny. Funny how destiny often begins with a single page. See, most people think books are filled with words. Nah, cause books are filled with borrowed years. Every page is somebody handing you decades of victories, failures, mistakes, and wisdom without charging you the price they paid to learn it. Imagine refusing to read, then spending 20 years making mistakes someone already wrote solutions for. That's expensive. Ignorance has the highest tuition fees in the world. It doesn't send invoices immediately, but trust me, it collects eventually. People say they can't afford books, then they'll spend 10 times that amount fixing problems those books could have prevented. It's backwards. See, I don't read because I know everything I read, because I know I don't. The moment a man believes he's the smartest person in the room, he has quietly become the most dangerous fool in it. Pride closes books before they're finished. Humility keeps turning pages. That's why I love libraries. They're one of the few places where silence makes people louder. Nobody's shouting, yet lives are changing. Empires are being imagined. Businesses are being born. Generational curses are being broken. Not through noise, but through knowledge. See, every billionaire invests in assets. I just happen to believe the first asset should be your mind. A farmer wouldn't expect a harvest from soil he never watered. So why do people expect brilliant decisions from minds they never feed? Every day your brain is eating something. The question is, what are you serving it? Endless gossip? Constant negativity? Mindless scrolling? Or ideas that stretch your perspective? Because whatever feeds your mind eventually leads your life. Garbage in, courage out, wisdom in, wisdom out. It's not complicated. See, the difference between a rich man and a poor man often starts with the questions they ask. One asks, how much does it cost? The other asks, what can this teach me? One spends money to escape boredom. The other spends money to eliminate ignorance. That's why one owns entertainment while the other owns opportunities. Knowledge has a funny habit of introducing you to doors money alone can't open. See, when David faced Goliath, he didn't just have courage, he had experience. Every lion, every bear, every lonely field had been another chapter preparing him for the giant. Life writes books too. The problem is most people go through experiences without reading the lesson inside them, and repeat the same chapter because they refuse to learn the plot. I don't want to repeat chapters. I want to graduate. That's why I read scripture before I read opinions, because opinions expire. God's wisdom doesn't trend change every year. Truth doesn't need updates. Social media teaches you how to attract attention. The Bible teaches you how to handle it without losing your soul. That's a different education altogether. See, I don't measure a book by how many pages it has. I measure it by how many pages it rewrites in my own life. If I close the book and nothing inside me changes, then I wasn't reading. I was just looking at ink. Real reading should challenge your pride, expose your weaknesses, join your thinking and leave you slightly uncomfortable. Growth always does. So don't ask me why I carry books everywhere I go. You're looking at paper. I'm looking at possibilities.
You're counting pages, I'm counting future decisions. You're seeing words, I'm seeing weapons. Because every great battle is won twice, first in the mind and in reality. And I'd rather spend an hour learning from somebody who's already climbed a mountain than spend 10 years wandering around it by myself. That's why I keep reading. Because the man who stops learning slowly starts disappearing, while the man who keeps learning becomes impossible to replace.
Did you say billionaires chase money? Broski, who told you that? That's what spectators think. That's what people in the cheap seats believe, because all they can see is the scoreboard. But the people playing the game, they're not chasing the points, they're mastering the rules. Money doesn't wake up in the morning looking for another wallet to jump into. Money is loyal, it follows value, it follows solutions, it follows people who become too useful to ignore. See, everybody wants the reward, but nobody wants to become the person the reward is looking for. That's backwards. You don't chase butterflies, you build a garden, then one day they arrive without an invitation. That's how wealth works. Everybody is running after the dollar like it's running away from them, but I realized something. Money has never been the finish line, it's the referee. It simply points at the winner after the game has already been decided. The real competition is becoming someone who solves problems so well that people voluntarily exchange their hard-earned money for your ideas, your service, your leadership, your courage. That's why billionaires don't wake up asking, how do I make $1 million today? They wake up asking, what problem can I solve that millions of people are tired of rimming with? That's a different mindset. One man counts cash, another man creates value. Guess which one eventually counts more cash? See, if your only reason for waking up is money, you'll quit the moment life stops paying overtime. But if your reason is purpose, if your reason is impact, if your reason is building something that outlives your name, then even on the days your account looks empty, your spirit stays full because you're investing in something bigger than today's balance. People laugh when they see an empty restaurant. They don't ask who built the kitchen. They mock a business with no customers. They don't realize foundations are always invisible before skyscrapers become visible. Everybody celebrates the harvest. Nobody posts the months of watering the seed. That's why I don't chase money. I chase mastery. Because money can disappear overnight, but mastery keeps printing. Lose the business, mastery builds another one. Lose the job, mastery creates another opportunity. Lose the investment, mastery finds another investment. They can freeze your bank account, but they can't freeze your brain. They can steal your car, but they can't steal your discipline. They can close one door, but they can't close the hands that know how to build another. That's wealth. Real wealth isn't what sits in your wallet, it's what sits between your ears. Every book I read is another employee working for me. Every skill I learn is another machine producing income while other people sleep. Every failure is market research I didn't have to pay a consultant for. Every rejection is a free lesson on how to become undeniable. People think billionaires are obsessed with money. No, they're obsessed with becoming irreplaceable. Because once you're the answer to enough problems, money starts introducing itself to you. See, I don't want to be the richest man in a room full of people who need. I want to be the most valuable man in a room where everyone becomes better because I walked in. That's influence. That's legacy. That's the kind of wealth inflation can't touch. So don't ask me how much money I'm chasing. Ask me how much value
tell you I'm building. Don't ask me how big my bank account is. Ask me how many lives become easier because I showed up. Because one day the money will stop counting you. The cars will rust. The watches will stop ticking. The trophies will collect dust. But your character, your discipline, your faith, your ideas, and the people you lifted along the way, those are the only assets that never crash. And remember this, because it's easy to impress people with money. It's much harder to impress God with how you earned it. Because the world checks your balance, God checks your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. You say mornings are too early. Broski, who do you think you're talking to? The morning isn't early, your purpose is late. See, the sun has never asked anybody for permission to rise. It shows up whether kings are ready or not. The birds don't hit the snooze button. The ocean doesn't postpone its waves because somebody felt tired. Nature already understands something most people are still negotiating with. Life rewards movement, not excuses. That's why I don't argue with my alarm clock. I treat it like the opening bell of a heavyweight fight. Every morning is round one, and if I lose before my feet even touch the floor, don't expect me to win. Round 12, when the pressure comes, everybody thinks success starts in the boardroom, in the gym, in the classroom, on the trading floor. Nah, cause success starts in that 5-second conversation between your pillow and your purpose. That's where champions are separated from spectators. One voice says, just 5 more minutes. The other says, 5 more minutes every day becomes 5 more years of the same life. I already know which voice pays the bills. See, your bed is the most comfortable prison ever invented. Soft blankets, perfect temperature, no responsibilities, no rejection, no risk. But here's the problem, nothing grows there except dreams. Dreams are good, but dreams that never leave the mattress become regrets wearing pajamas. So I don't wake up because I feel motivated. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's sunny, some days it rains. I wake up because discipline doesn't check the forecast. People ask me why I'm always in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry, I'm just aware that time isn't slowing down because I had a bad day. Every sunrise is another withdrawal from an account that never accepts deposits. You can't save time, you can't borrow it. You can't negotiate another 24 hours. Once the day expires, it's gone forever. Billionaires understand that. They don't own more hours than you. They just waste fewer of them. While somebody is scrolling through another person's highlight reel, somebody else is writing a chapter people will scroll tomorrow. That's the difference. Everybody wants a morning routine until they realize mornings require mourning. Mourning the comfort you have to leave behind. Mourning the old habits that keep calling your name. Mourning the version of yourself that keeps begging for one more excuse. Growth is expensive because it charges your comfort first. See, I don't measure my mornings by how peaceful they feel. I measure them by how prepared they make me. Every page I read before the world wakes up sharpens my thinking before distractions start knocking. Every workout tells my mind who's really in charge. Every prayer reminds me that before I answer emails, I should answer to God. Before I listen to opinions, I should listen to purpose. Before I build my schedule, I should build my spirit. Because a weak soul can't carry a strong vision. People keep saying they're waiting for the right opportunity. Opportunity? Cause opportunity loves people who are already dressed for the interview. Imagine a firefighter waiting for the fire before learning how to use the hose. Imagine a pilot studying the controls after takeoff. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yet, people wait until life gets hard before building discipline.
They wait until they're broke before learning business. They wait until they're sick before respecting their bodies. They wait until relationships collapse before learning communication that's backwards. Preparation always looks unnecessary until it's absolutely essential. See, mornings aren't about proving something to the world. They're about proving something to yourself. Every time you get up when you promised you would, you cast another vote for the person you're becoming. Every promise you keep to yourself builds trust. Every promise you break teaches your mind that your own words don't matter. And if you can't believe yourself, why should anyone else? That's why I guard my mornings like a goalkeeper protecting the final penalty. Because once distractions score early, they're confident for the rest of the match. Notifications don't run my life, my purpose does. The phone can wait, the world can wait, my assignment can't. See, I don't need applause for waking up early, because seeds don't ask for recognition while they're underground. They just keep growing until one day the ground has no choice but to move out of their way. That's how I want my life to look. Quiet preparation, loud results. While everybody is chasing inspiration, I'm collecting repetitions. Because inspiration starts the engine, but repetition wins the race. The truth is, every morning you're drafting a contract with your future. Every decision signs another paragraph. Sleep in and your future reads it. Get up and build and your future reads that too. The scary part is that tomorrow never argues with today's choices. It simply delivers the invoice.
Comfort is expensive. Broski, who sold you that lie. Comfort is cheap. It's regret that's expensive. Comfort asks for a small payment today, then sends you the biggest invoice tomorrow. That's how it traps people. It never kicks the door down. It politely knocks, stay in bed a little longer. Skip the workout just this once. Start the business next month. Tell her how you feel another day. Read tomorrow. Pray later. It sounds harmless because comfort never speaks the language of destruction. It speaks the language of delay, and delay is one of the most dangerous thieves you'll ever meet because it doesn't steal your wallet. It steals your future without making a sound. That's why I don't negotiate with comfort. I know it's game. Every time comfort shakes my hand, discipline ends up paying the bill. See, people think comfort is a reward. Nah, cause comfort is a test. It's asking one simple question. Are you willing to trade what you want most for what feels good now? Most people answer yes, without even realizing it. That's why dreams die quietly. Not because they were impossible, but because they were interrupted by convenience. See, a diamond doesn't become valuable because it stayed comfortable underground. Steel doesn't become strong because it avoided the fire. Gold doesn't become pure because it ran away from the furnace. Everything valuable
through pressure before it receives a price. So why do we expect our lives to become valuable while avoiding pressure? That doesn't even make sense. Everybody wants muscles until they meet the weight. Everybody wants wealth until they meet sacrifice. Everybody wants wisdom until they meet failure. Everybody wants victory until they meet discipline. They love the trophy but hate the training. They admire the harvest but complain about planning. They celebrate the champion but ignore the lonely mornings, the rejected opportunities, the nights of doubt, the prayers whispered when nobody believed. That's why I smile when life gets difficult. Pressure isn't proof that God abandoned me. Sometimes it's proof that He's building something inside me that comfort could never produce. See, comfort builds soft people. Pressure is dependable people. Comfort teaches you to consume. Pressure teaches you to create. Comfort whispers, protect yourself. Purpose whispers, stretch yourself. And I've learned that every time I choose purpose over pleasure, I become someone my future self will thank. People ask why I'm always pushing myself. Because I refuse to become a prisoner with a golden pillow. A cage is still a cage, even if it's comfortable. Some people have decorated their excuses so well they mistake them for lifestyles. They say they're waiting for the right season, cause seasons don't change people, decisions do. Winter comes for everybody. Summer comes for everybody. Rain falls on everybody. The difference is what each person decides to do while the weather stays the same. One man uses storms as an excuse to stop moving. Another uses the wind to fly higher. Same storm, different mindset. That's why I don't measure my life by how comfortable I feel. I measure it by how much I've grown. Did I learn today? Did I serve today? Did I keep my word today? Did I become stronger today? Because growth is uncomfortable by design. Imagine a seed complaining because the ground is heavy. It doesn't know the pressure above it is preparing the breakthrough ahead of it. That's us. We keep asking God to remove the weight while He's using the weight to build the strength we'll need for the next level. See, comfort promises peace, but it delivers stagnation. Discipline promises pain, but it delivers freedom. One feels good now and hurts later. The other hurts now and feels good later. Choose your pain wisely, either way you're gonna pay. I'd rather sweat in preparation than bleed in regret. I'd rather struggle while climbing than suffer while standing still, because one struggle has a destination, the other becomes a lifestyle. So don't ask me if I'm comfortable, ask me if I'm growing. Don't ask me if life is easy, ask me if my purpose is getting bigger than my excuses. Cause at the end of the day, nobody stands before God and says, Lord, I stayed comfortable. They'll answer for what they built, who they became, and what they did with the gifts He placed in their hands. So I'll keep choosing the hard road, not because it's easy to walk, but because easy roads rarely lead to extraordinary places.
You keep saying you're building. Broski, what are you building? A house of cards or an empire? Because those are two completely different projects. Everybody loves the word build until they discover construction is noisy, messy, slow, and full of days where nothing looks impressive. That's why I don't announce. Every move I'm making cement doesn't hold press conferences before it hardens. Bricks don't ask for applause while they're being stacked. The strongest foundations are buried so deep that nobody even knows they exist, yet they're carrying millions of pounds every single day. Funny, isn't it? The most important part of a skyscraper is the part nobody ever takes pictures of.
That's why I laugh when people rush to post every idea before they've even built the first floor. They want recognition before responsibility. They want followings before character. They want the spotlight before they've learned how to survive the darkness. No, because that's not how kingdoms are built. See, I don't need the world to validate what God already assigned me. If He gave me the blueprint, why am I asking the crowd for permission to lay the bricks? The crowd changes its mind every season. Today they cheer, tomorrow they disappear. But purpose doesn't change because opinions do. That's why I keep my head down while they're busy debating whether I can build it. I'm already mixing the concrete. Every sacrifice is another brick. Every rejection has another beam. Every lesson is another window. Every failure is another engineer showing me what not to do next time. They call setbacks disappointments. I call them inspections. Better the building cracks while it's still under construction and after families have moved in. God has a way of exposing weak foundations before He allows higher floors. We pray for bigger blessings, but we forget that bigger buildings require deeper digging. Nobody celebrates the excavation. It just looks like you're making a bigger hole in the ground. People walk past and laugh because all they can see is dirt. They don't realize that every foot deeper is another floor higher in the future. That's why I never compare my beginning to somebody else's rooftop. I don't know how deep they had to dig. I don't know what storms they survived before the ribbon cutting ceremony. Comparison is dangerous because you're comparing your blueprint to somebody else's finished product. That's like judging a seed because it doesn't look like a forest yet. Give it time. Give it rain, give it pressure, bring it to us its own calendar. See, everybody wants an empire, but few people think like architects. Architects know every small measurement matters. One wrong angle today becomes a collapsing wall tomorrow. That's why I take the little things seriously, keeping my word when nobody checks, showing up on time when nobody notices, reading one more chapter when everyone else closes the book, praying when the answer hasn't arrived yet. Those don't look like empire moves, but empires are hidden inside ordinary habits repeated extraordinarily well. People think success arrives with fireworks. Most of the time it arrives disguised as another boring day of doing the right thing. The secret nobody wants to hear because consistency doesn't trend. Quiet discipline doesn't go viral, but neither does the seed while it's growing underground. Then one day it breaks through the surface and everybody suddenly calls it an overnight success. Overnight? Because you weren't there for the nights. You weren't there when the builder was exhausted but kept laying bricks. You weren't there when the rain washed away a week's worth of progress. You weren't there when loneliness became part of the construction crew. You only arrive when the paint dry. See, I don't build applause. Applause fades. I build for legacy. A real builder understands that one day he'll leave the site, but the building should still be standing. That's how I want my life to look. Long after my voice is gone, my character should still be speaking. Long after my hands stop working, my principle should still be producing fruit in other people's lives. That's wealth. Not what you keep in the bank, but what keeps working after you're gone. So don't ask me why I'm so quiet these days. I'm under construction. Don't mistake my silence for inactivity. Cranes don't make speeches, they lift weight. Foundations don't make noise, they carry it. And I'd rather spend 10 years building something that lasts 100 than spend 100 days building something that collapses in 10. Cause at the end of it all, cause the world may admire the building, but God will always inspect the foundation.
You still waiting for motivation? Broski. Who convinced you that motivation was your employee? Your motivation doesn't clock in every morning, it doesn't sign contracts. It doesn't care about your dreams as much as you do. Some days it'll show up smiling, making you feel like you can conquer the world. Other days it'll disappear without leaving a note. And if your future depends on whether motivation decides to visit, then your future has already been outsourced to your feelings. Nah, cause I don't build my life on visitors, I build it on residents. Discipline lives here, commitment pays rent here, consistency has its own room. Motivation is just a guest that drops by every now and then. See, people have this movie version of success in their heads. They think champions wake up every morning with fire in their eyes. Inspirational music playing in the background, ready to dominate the day. They don't see the mornings when champions are tired. They don't see the workouts that happen with sore muscles. They don't see the business meetings after sleepless nights. They don't see the prayers whispered when faith feels quieter than fear. That's the real championship. Anybody can move when they feel like it. The rare person moves because they said they would. That's integrity, that's power. Your words should be so valuable that even your emotions can't negotiate against it. See, I stopped asking myself, do I feel like doing it? That's the wrong question. Feelings are like the wind, they change direction every few hours. Imagine a pilot saying, I'll only fly today if I feel inspired. Nobody's boarding that plane. Imagine a surgeon saying, I'll perform the operation when I'm in the mood. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yet people expect their dreams to survive a schedule that's controlled by emotions that's backwards. Purpose should lead your feelings, not the other way around. Feelings make terrible leaders because they only vote for comfort. Purpose votes for growth, and growth rarely feels comfortable. That's why discipline is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're telling your mind, my word has value. Every time you break that promise, you're teaching yourself that your own commitments are optional. Then people wonder why they struggle with confidence. Confidence isn't built by positive quotes. Confidence is built by collecting evidence that you can trust yourself. Every completed workout is evidence. Every finished book is evidence. Every prayer you kept, every assignment you completed, every temptation you resisted, that's evidence. Brick after brick, you're constructing belief in your own character. That's a foundation motivation could never build. See, motivation is loud at the starting line. Discipline is quiet at the finish line. Everybody celebrates the excitement of beginning. Few people respect the endurance of continuing. That's why races aren't won in the first 100 meters. They're won when everybody else starts negotiating with fatigue. Fatigue has a funny way of introducing itself. It whispers, you've done enough. Take the day off. Nobody will notice. But discipline whispers back, neither will success. Because success has poor eyesight for excuses, but perfect vision for consistency. It notices every unseen repetition, every lonely hour, every sacrifice made when nobody was clapping. God notices too. That's what gives me peace. I don't need an audience to stay faithful. I don't need likes to stay consistent. The crowd might miss today's effort, but heaven keeps better records than social media ever could see. Noah built an ark before he saw rain. Joseph stayed faithful before he saw the palace. David learned courage before he wore the crown. None of them waited to feel motivated. They obeyed.
That's the pattern. Obedience first, results later. The world says I'll move when I see proof. Faith says I'll move because I trust the one who already sees the destination. That's a different league altogether. So don't ask me where my motivation comes from. You're asking the wrong person. Ask my discipline why it never takes holidays. Ask my purpose why it wakes me before my alarm. Ask my vision why it refuses to let comfort become permanent. Because by the time motivation finally decides to show up, I've already finished the work. Motivation can celebrate if it wants to. Discipline already collected the trophy. And that's the difference. Average people wait until they feel ready before they move. Extraordinary people move until they become ready. One waits for the fire, the other becomes it. So when people look at your life one day and call you naturally driven, smile and let them believe it. You and God will know the truth, that the greatest victories were never powered by motivation. They were built by discipline that refused to quit when nobody was watching.
I walked into an old library one day and noticed something strange. The most valuable books weren't sitting on the front table, they were locked away behind glass. At first I thought, why hide the best ones? Then the librarian smiled and said, we don't lock them away because they're worthless. We protect them because they're priceless. Broski, that stayed with me. There's a difference. Not everything that's hidden is forgotten. Some things are hidden because they're too valuable to be exposed carelessly. Maybe that's why God sometimes hides his people before he reveals them. We live in a generation that thinks visibility is the same as significance. If it isn't posted, it didn't happen. If nobody applauds it, it must not matter. We chase platforms before purpose, influence before integrity, and recognition before readiness. But God has never been impressed by public attention. He's always been interested in private transformation. People ask me, why does it feel like God has hidden me? Wrong question. Ask the librarian why he protects the rarest book instead of leaving it where everyone can touch it. Protection often looks like limitation until you understand the value of what's being protected. Sometimes God closes certain doors, delays certain opportunities, and keeps you away from certain crowds, not because he's withholding your future, but because he's preserving it. Psalm 91:1 says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Notice where strength begins. The secret place before God gives me influence in public. He teaches me intimacy in private. Before he trusts me with people, he teaches me to walk with him when nobody is watching. The enemy hates hidden seasons because that's where roots grow. That's where convictions become stronger than emotions. That's where prayer stops being a habit and becomes a lifeline. That's where character is formed without applause. Satan wants me to despise those seasons because he knows that if I abandon preparation, I'll never be able to carry the weight of the purpose waiting ahead. I've learned that almost every person God used greatly spent time hidden. First, Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness. Before leading Israel, David was forgotten in a field while tending sheep before he became king. Elijah lived by a brook before confronting prophets on Mount Carmel. Even John the Baptist spent years in the wilderness before introducing the Messiah. Hiddenness wasn't delaying their calling, it was preparing them for it. See, books don't become valuable because they're displayed.
They're valuable because of what's written inside them. That's me. God isn't primarily writing my story for public admiration. He's writing it for eternal impact. Every lesson, every trial, every answered prayer, every painful season becomes another page that reveals His faithfulness. The cover might attract attention, but it's the content that changes lives. People compare chapters without realizing they're reading different books. Broski, stop comparing your page 20 to someone else's page 200. The author hasn't forgotten your story. He hasn't skipped your chapter. He's writing with wisdom that sees the ending before the beginning. Philippians 1:6 reminds me that He who began a good work and you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. God finishes every story He starts. And here's what humbles me the most. For 30 years, Jesus lived in relative obscurity. Think about that. The Savior who could calm storms, heal the sick, and raise the dead spent decades in quiet faithfulness before beginning 3 years of public ministry. If anyone had the right to rush into visibility, it was Him. Yet He waited for the Father's timing. Heaven was never in a hurry because heaven was never behind schedule. Then came the cross. To the world, it looked like Jesus had been silenced, buried hidden behind a stone. But God was accomplishing His greatest work in what appeared to be His greatest concealment. 3 days later, the stone rolled away, proving that what God hides for His purpose, no power on earth can permanently keep buried. That's why Colossians 3:3 says, "For you died and your life is now hidden with Christ in God." Hidden with Christ. What safer place could there possibly be? My identity isn't hidden in success, popularity, or achievements. It's hidden in the Savior who conquered death itself. So don't ask me why I'm no longer frustrated by hidden seasons. Libraries protect their greatest treasures. God prepares His greatest servants. If He chooses to keep me out of the spotlight for a while, I'll trust the librarian more than the audience. I'd rather be preserved by God than promoted before I'm ready. One day, the author of my story will open the final chapter. Every hidden prayer will be remembered. Every unseen act of obedience will be rewarded.
I watched a man restoring an old painting in a museum once. At first, it looked like he was ruining it. He kept scraping away layers of paint that someone else had added over the years. I thought, why destroy what's already there? Then the curator explained he's not destroying the painting. He's removing everything that doesn't belong so the original masterpiece can be seen again. Broski, that sounded exactly like the gospel. There's a difference. God doesn't save me by making me someone else. He saves me by restoring the image that sin tried to cover. That's why following Jesus sometimes feels uncomfortable. He begins removing things I learned to live with: pride, bitterness, jealousy, selfish ambition, secret sin, fear disguised as wisdom. I look at my life and think, Lord, why are you taking so much away? Meanwhile, heaven is saying, because none of that was part of my original design for you.
People ask me, why doesn't God just bless me the way I am? Wrong question. Ask the restorer why he refuses to leave the dirt covering the masterpiece. Because love doesn't admire the damage. Love restores what was always meant to be there. God loves me exactly as I am, but he loves me too much to leave me exactly as I am. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, we all are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord. Notice the word transform. Christianity isn't behavior management. It's heart transformation. God isn't interested in polishing my mask. He's restoring my soul. The enemy has one dangerous strategy. If he can't stop me from coming to church, he'll convince me that looking holy is the same as becoming holy. I'll clean the outside while ignoring the inside. Jesus warned about this when he spoke to the Pharisees. They looked righteous before people, but their hearts were far from God. A beautifully framed painting is still damaged if the image underneath has been neglected. I've learned that restoration requires patience. The artist doesn't rush because every careless scrape could damage the masterpiece beneath. God works with that same wisdom. He doesn't remove every weakness overnight. He teaches me one lesson at a time. One season, he works on pride. Another season, he teaches forgiveness. Another season, he deepens my trust. He's not slow, he's careful. See, the masterpiece was always there. It was simply hidden beneath years of damage. That's what Genesis 1:27 reminds me, that humanity was created in the image of God. Sin didn't erase that image completely, but it distorted it. Jesus didn't come merely to forgive my past. He came to restore what sin had broken so the character of God could once again be reflected through human lives. People compare themselves to others and become discouraged. Broski, stop comparing restorations. Some paintings have more damage than others. Some require years of careful work. The artist isn't embarrassed by difficult restorations. If anything, they reveal his skill even more. And here's what amazes me. The greatest restoration in history cost the restorer everything. Jesus didn't stand outside the broken gallery pointing at damaged paintings. He stepped into our world, carried our brokenness, and took it to the cross. Isaiah 53:5 says, he was pierced for our transgressions, and by his wounds we are healed. Think about that. The restorer allowed himself to be wounded so the masterpiece could be restored. That's not ordinary love, that's divine grace. Then came the resurrection. The world thought the story had been ruined forever. But God proved that what appears beyond repair to humanity is never beyond redemption in his hands. The empty tomb became heaven's declaration that restoration is stronger than destruction. So don't ask me why. I'm no longer afraid when God starts removing things from my life. Every conviction, every correction, every season of refinement is another careful touch from the Master's hand. I'd rather lose every layer that doesn't belong than keep anything that hides the image of Christ within me. One day the restoration will be complete. Every stain of sin will be gone. Every wound will be healed. Every broken part of my story will reflect the beauty of the one who redeemed it. I'll stand before Jesus, not as a masterpiece I created, but as one he lovingly restored through his mercy, his patience, and his blood. Until that day, I'll stay on the master's table, trusting every careful stroke of his hand. Because the greatest work God is doing isn't building a better reputation for me. It's revealing more of Jesus in me. And when the world finally sees the finished masterpiece, the glory won't belong to the painting. It will belong forever to the master artist who refused to throw away what his love had determined to restore.
You ever watch a sculptor working on a block of marble, fam? Broski, from a distance it looks like he's destroying it, cause every few seconds, bang, another piece falls to the ground. Chicks everywhere. Dust everywhere. If you didn't know what was happening, you'd probably run over and say, yo, stop! You're ruining a perfectly good rock! But the sculptor would laugh and say, fam, I'm not destroying it. I'm removing everything that doesn't belong. There's a difference. Everybody else sees a broken stone. The artist sees a masterpiece trapped inside. That's exactly how God works on his children. We pray, Lord, make me more like Jesus. Then he starts chiseling away my pride. He chips away my selfishness. He chips away my impatience. He chips away my need for people's approval. And every time another piece falls off, I'm tempted to ask, Lord, why are you taking so much from me? People ask me, why does following Christ require giving up so many things? Wrong question, broski. Asked the sculptor why he keeps striking the marble. Because if he leaves every extra piece attached, the statue never appears. Purpose isn't found in what God adds. Sometimes it's revealed in what he removes. Ephesians 2:10 says, for we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. I love that word, workmanship. It means I'm God's project. He isn't finished with me yet. The unfinished places in my life aren't proof he's failed. They're proof he's still working. The enemy loves unfinished sculptures. He'll walk around the workshop whispering, look at yourself, you're cracked, you're covered in dust, you'll never become anything. Nah, cause Satan judges me by today's chips. God judges me by tomorrow's masterpiece. The artist never abandons his work halfway through. I've learned something about sculptors. They don't randomly hit the stone. Every strike is intentional, that's wisdom. Nothing God allows into my life is meaningless. The disappointment wasn't random. The delay wasn't random, even the correction wasn't random. Every lesson is another strike shaping me into the image of Christ. See, marble never tells the sculptor where to hit, that's surrender. Too many times I've tried telling God which parts of my life he can touch. Lord, you can have my Sundays, but leave my ambitions alone. You can have my worship, but don't talk about my pride. You can have my words, but not my wallet. Fam, partial surrender produces intricate transformation. People compare sculptures, I wish I looked like him spiritually. Broski, you're admiring what God has finished without appreciating what they've endured. You didn't hear every strike of the chisel. You didn't see every painful lesson. You didn't witness every quiet act of obedience. Beauty always has a backstory. And here's the part that leaves me speechless. The greatest stone in history wasn't being sculpted. It was being rolled away. Think about that. Early Sunday morning, a massive stone stood between humanity and the empty tomb. To everyone else, it looked like the end. A sealed grave, a defeated Messiah, crooked dreams. But heaven wasn't worried about the stone, because no stone is too heavy when the creator of the universe decides it's time to move.
angel rolled it away, not so Jesus could get out, but so the world could look in and see that death had already lost. Matthew 28:6 says he is not here. He is risen, just as he said. Fam, that's why I trust God's hands. The same God who can turn a block of marble into a masterpiece can turn a broken sinner into a new creation. The same God who rolled away the stone from Christ's tomb can remove every obstacle standing between me and his purpose. So don't ask me why I'm no longer afraid of God's chisel. Broski, every piece he removes is making room for more of Christ. Every correction is revealing his character in me. Every uncomfortable lesson is another touch from the master's hand. One day the chiseling will stop, the dust will settle. The masterpiece God has been shaping since the day I surrendered my life to Jesus will finally be complete. 1 John 3:10 says, when Christ appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. That's the promise I'm living for. Until then, fam, I'll stay on the sculptor's table. I'll trust every strike, every correction, every season where I don't understand what he's removing, because the artist has never mistaken a single blow, and he has never abandoned a single masterpiece. When he's finished, people won't look at me and admire the stone. They'll look at the finished work and glorify the hands that shaped it.